Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey guys, brand new podcast.
Hey, wait a minute. It's my podcast.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Enjoy. So we're talking about our teams at school and how Cathy's a frequent guest because she's on my team. We're good teammates.
We are a good team.
We're a good
So
team.
what did you guys use to plan it?
What did you guys use to plan together at?
I remember you were doing World Fair stuff also, but what committee were you on, or were you just kind of like many hat wearing person?
That's kind of the only place, right?
Yeah.
Both. The only place. Go ahead, Cathy. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
The only place we teamed at was the fair, the World Fair.
Okay.
So we were both on volunteers, but we had different roles.
Yeah.
Right. But your girls are in Girl Scouts together.
Yes. And we're Girl Scout leaders
Oh,
together. So
that's so lovely.
it has been really lovely experience with Cathy Fromkin. It's been really great.
It's been 8
I've
years.
only
It's been
had
8 years.
good
Yeah.
experiences with Cathy Fromkin.
I know it's hard to have a
Thank you.
bad experience with her. Although if you piss her off, she may tell you to go fuck yourself.
I might.
I can't wait for that to happen because that would be
Always happen.
an honor to see because I haven't seen her in that state.
It's
so
not
maybe I should-
pretty.
It's happened.
Not pretty. It is
It's
not.
happened.
It's definitely not one of my finer
It's one of my
moments.
favorites. Cathy
It's
Fromkin drunk.
terrible. Oh my
Kathy
God.
Fromkin drunk is one of my favorites.
Oh my God. Can
She
you
gets real
please
mouthy.
let me know when this is happening?
Oh, it's the best.
I think I'd like to be there.
She gets really yuck jokey. Like she starts yucking around and she gets all loose. It's really fun. I think I've seen it twice.
Stick in a coffee.
It's one of my favorite things. Sandy and I talk about it. We're like, let's just try to get her drunk because she's so much fun. I mean, you're fun when you're not drunk, but when you are drunk, there's this like looseness and loose lippedness that's
Yes.
really
No,
awesome.
I know that it's there. I can tell that it's there, and that's why I like Cathy so much because I mean,
What
first,
are we talking about today? This is so uncomfortable. What just happened?
It's a Cathy love fest. It's a love
be
fest.
salty today, Cathy.
Oh, we brought you here for an intervention.
Okay, good.
You need to have more
Stop saying
fun.
fuck
No.
you.
All right, go fuck yourself or fuck you. Was it fuck you or go fuck yourself?
Yes, it was neither.
It was both combined.
It was fuck you.
Was this on school grounds?
No,
No,
Okay.
no, but
not
it was.
really.
It was.
It
Yeah.
was related.
It was sort of. Yeah.
It was not.
It was
pretty.
one of those things where you think you send an email with certain people on the email and
Yeah.
other people were on the email that weren't supposed to be.
Whoopsie daisy.
We've all
Yep.
done stuff like that. I've done it
Absolutely.
myself.
I've done it
Yeah.
in text.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've done it in email. Lost a friend over it.
Oh shit.
Yep, lost a friend over it. I had a friend that was a real head case, but I loved her. I embraced the head case.
Yeah.
But she asked me for like a plumber's phone number. And I had emailed the plumber and said, just so you know, she's kind of a head case. And she was on it. And she was like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Well, you are kind of a head case. And
Hey.
then it was over. No more
Right.
friends.
Right. But the truth came out, and isn't that sort of liberating?
It was sort of liberating because she was a really good person that was very exhausting.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Her intentions were really good.
Right.
Always a really lovely, intended person. But she just had a lot of baggage, man. And so she was really trying for me.
Yeah.
So it was kind of liberating, but I felt terrible. I mean, I still
Sure.
feel terrible about it because
Sure.
who wants to hear that? Nobody wants to hear that when, that's just a shitty way to receive information.
Yeah.
Would have been much better if I had been able to say, you know what, I need a break or
Wouldn't it be awesome if you knew for sure that she was like, oh my God, I have been a head case. This is the greatest gift anyone has ever given me. Leanne
that didn't
Kreischer.
happen. No, that for sure.
But
did
we
not
can
happen.
pretend and believe that and then be cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I still feel really, really bad. I do feel bad about that. And I don't know. She's happy. She still looks happy on her Facebook and stuff.
Oh, great.
so-
So you're at least Facebook friends. You can kind of check in on her.
Well, I don't, but Bert does. I don't. I have no
Bert
access.
does for you. Bert's taking this on.
Well, Bert checks in on the husband because we were like couple friends.
Oh, cool.
This is before we moved to the Valley.
Okay.
And he and the husband got along so great, and he was so bummed because I fucked it up for everybody. I just totally screwed the pooch. So he lost a friend too because of course he has to stick by his wife.
Sure.
So, oh well.
And they can't get together otherwise. Secretly.
Mm-mm.
Not
Not
so
with that
secretly.
wife. Nope.
Got it.
Those ever found out?
Oh, I'll hell.
Decapitation.
Everybody's going to have hell to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Why did I bring you guys here today? What are we talking about for reals?
For reals.
For reals.
Who lives with you?
My mother lives with me. My mother lives with me.
And how old is your mom?
She's 80 recently.
She's 80?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And who
Is
lives
that
with
younger?
you?
Is that super old or how do you?
Well, my dad is, I assume we're about the same age. I'll be 49 this year.
Okay.
And my dad is 70.
Mm.
So,
See, I think your dad's young.
and my dad is young,
Yeah.
but that's my point of reference. So I always go,
Yeah.
80? Really?
I know, like
As-
another 10 years.
I know
Right.
this shit. Everybody I grew up with has my age group parents, right? They're all the same age as my dad. So I forget that people had children later in life like me. You know, I'll be 80 when my kids are this old, at least, or older. So your 80-year-old mother lives with you, and who lives with you?
My mother-in-law, who is 77.
77.
She just turned 77. Yep.
So I've actually had a lot of
Yep.
people request that I talk about this subject because a lot of people live with a mother or an in-law, a multi-generational household. And for some people, it works great. And for some people, it's really hard. And the people I'm hearing from are the people who are having a hard time.
Sure.
So I don't live with my in-laws or my dad. I would kill either or both of them, and they would probably kill me if I lived with them, all of them. So what's it like? What's the positive? Give me the positive first.
You want good news first?
Yeah.
Good news.
So, wait, your mom's only been living with you for like 6-7 months,
Yes.
right?
And
Yeah.
then last year in 2018, she lived with us from February to May.
Mhm.
Um,
And then lived with your sister?
and then lived with my sister, and that didn't work out so hot.
Oh,
Right,
no?
And then came back.
Wait, why didn't
Right.
it work out? What happened?
So much for the good stuff first.
Did your sister say
gonna
fuck
dive
you?
in?
Dive right in.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable talking about. Don't talk about anything you're not comfortable talking about. but-
Dudes, you will not find much that I am uncomfortable talking about.
Okay.
My mother went to live with my sister, and her husband has some heart issues. But they were willing to take this on. It had actually been the plan for a long time that mom was going to go live with my sister in Texas. She has another room. My sister and I here were living in apartments. I don't anymore, thank goodness. Well, it's okay. I'm nothing against people who live in apartments. It was really tight.
Yeah.
Like all four of us in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And then we got a fucking dog.
Oh, God. What were you thinking? We were 4 people in a
I
in a
wasn't
2-bedroom with a
thinking.
dog.
I let everybody say yes, and I went along with it because it was just, I guess, as my husband put it, like, we're improvisers. We're going to say yes to things right now. Let's say yes to more in the world. I'm like, okay, all right, yes. But I knew I was going to be the one to be taking care of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after a while, like from the beginning, it seemed like it was really stressful to have for my sister, for my mom to be living there. Of course, it is. It's a big adjustment for my mom. It's a big adjustment for my sister. My mom has senile dementia. So she's like in the beginnings of that. And then mixed in with her personality of like being generally paranoid that people are taking things from her. And then the memory issue, it all just kind of gets blurred together, and you don't know what is the dementia and what's just her fucking around,
Right.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not consciously. Her fucking around isn't conscious, but it's like I guess the stress that goes along with her being manipulative. I think unconsciously, I don't think she's got the awareness that she is manipulating us when she's suspicious of us taking her things and losing them. And then we have to have this kind of like stressful couple hours or however long it takes to find the item she's missing, and go through that, because all the while she's not taking responsibility that she misplaced something. She's like, It's incredible. I just, I said it right here. And then it disappeared. And she'll go through that cycle so many fucking times.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, I get it. It's hard for my sister to live with her. And then like with dementia, sometimes hygiene goes a little bit down the drain. So mom wasn't being that sanitary in their house. And then some fucking accidents happened, like in the bathroom, in the laundry room.
Oh boy. Accidents like what? Like she spilled stuff or like she shit?
Like she shit, Leanne.
Oh, that's so hard.
And things weren't happening like that when she lived with us in the apartment or like with me, between me and my sister. But we would notice, toilet paper or maybe the side of the bowl, mark or two,
Right.
Maybe a cloudy toilet handle flusher thing.
Yeah, the handle.
When it just doesn't have that shine anymore.
Right.
And it kind of gets dull looking.
Yeah.
Something's
going
something's
on
been
there.
on it.
So you have you have one sister here and one in Texas. There's
Yes,
3 of you. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Positive is I have my sister here who's able to help me out and take her sometimes, here and there. So I'll take what I can get
Yeah.
because she works too. She has 3 kids,
How old are your kids?
12 and 7,
And 7.
about to be 8 and 13 and 8 in a couple weeks.
I didn't know he was that much younger.
Yeah, 5 years.
Okay.
I was not ready. I was not ready when Ruby was younger. I was like, I know. Not till 3 and then, or past 3. And I was like, for sure 4. And then it just didn't happen until she was like in the middle of her 4th year or whatever.
Right. Okay, so she lived with you first and then moved to Texas.
Yeah.
And that fell apart. And
That
then
fell
she
apart.
came back.
Yeah, it fell apart. My mom's savings was kind of going, and I gave my sister my mom's budget because I look after my mother's finances and make sure that she's not overspending or whatever. And there wasn't any reason for them to be touching the savings because she didn't have rent anymore. She was living at my sister's. I canceled, we paid off credit cards, all that was done. So she had a budget and they were going over budget, letting my mom, it's not like they were trying to take money, but they were just letting her spend too much, going over budget too much, not being aware of it. And then like when I came to ask them, hey, she doesn't have any rent, or if these bills are gone, this is how much. Oh, I also asked her before because like I see that there was like over $200 spent in just eating out a few times, and that just didn't include little trips to McDonald's here and there that she likes to do. And anyway, so I warned my sister. I was like, "Hey, you better watch out. Please be more conservative because you're going over."
Right.
And then a few months later, it like had dropped some more. And maybe I should have been on top of that shit all the time, but I expected my sister. That's why I laid out for her, money-wise, what was to happen. And I asked them together, like had my sister and my brother-in-law like in a text. And because I asked that, shit hit the fan.
Why?
Because I was like, they thought I was accusing them of like taking money from my mom. I know that they had like $1,000 for Molly Maid to come and clean their house that my mom paid for because of these
$1,000 what?
apparent accidents.
A month or
no one time cleaning. They had the whole house cleaned or whatever because my mom had an accident in some or a couple areas. And I made one snarky remark that I do regret because I didn't need to, but I was like, $1,000 to clean the house. I was questioning this one time thing. And I said, I was like, did she shit at yours and at the neighbors?
Right.
And that, that they clung to They clung to so tightly and used it against me.
Oh.
And it was a full-on motherfucking attack.
No way.
Hey, and I'm trying to stay, I know that there are two sides to every story. They felt like they were attacked, so they really bombed me. It was like, bomb Pearl Harbor and then Nagasaki.
Right.
Like, okay, I may have dropped a Pearl Harbor and it really wasn't a Pearl Harbor.
Right.
But
well, you'd like to think levity is what gets you through these times as siblings.
did I get Nagasaki right? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Or Hiroshima. Either one.
I like history.
But I would think levity would be what would keep you together as siblings to go like when you were saying did you shit at the neighbor's house too, I was thinking fuck I'll clean their house for $1,000. I mean that's a lot.
House. Like that's
How big is
money,
their house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, I know it's Texas and everything's bigger, but
Yeah,
But
it's
come
not
on.
like no, the house isn't that much bigger than this, so it was I didn't see how
insane.
$1,000 was, but okay, if that's, I even accept, I was like, if that's how much it costs, then that's how much it costs. But I want to know, like this spending, like this $100 here, $100 there, $300 for whatever, it can't happen anymore. I'm letting you know that this can't happen. And then shit, my mother's shit hit the fan.
Oh my God.
So
how's your relationship?
then they kicked her out. And they're like, they put her on a plane about 4 days later.
What?
Yeah, dude. So did I forget to mention that?
That's terrible. I mean, that's terrible for everybody because that's really unfair to you to just send. I mean, was there any conversation about that, or did she just say that like
I said,
flight lands at 10?
I said, because of all the stress that they were having and all the stress that was coming at me from afar about like, this is happening and then this is happening, all these things strung together. I was like, this seemed like it was doomed from the start. You guys are, I didn't feel that they were fit to be taking care of her. They have a lot of issues, physical and I believe mental. And if they think I'm putting them on blast right now, for some reason they hear it. This is my truth, and I'm going to speak it motherfucking loud and clear.
Right.
Well,
they clearly maybe have some financial issues if they can't stick to a very simple budget.
That's perhaps too. And I'm feeling for them at that. Like, I respect that people have issues, but it's like when there's such destructive language that comes back at me for asking like simple questions about this stuff. I was like, I am not taking any more of this.
Are you the oldest?
I'm
Like,
the youngest.
How are you by
You're
default?
the youngest?
The person. How did you by default get to be the one in charge of this?
That's one of the questions my close friends ask me all the time. How did you become the one to take on all of this?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we moved from Chicago 3 years ago, and something in me told me, like, before we moved, I was like, I'm going to be getting more involved in my family matters. Like, we've been away in Chicago I've been away from Vegas for so long. That's where I grew up. And just being in the Southwest again is going to bring me closer to family troubles.
To family troubles.
No, well, not troubles. It was more like just, I was happy to be close to my sister that lives here.
Yeah.
So just family matters.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Right.
I thought it was going to be great to go and see my mom, and it was. And I visited her several times before she...
Was she in Vegas?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was still living in Vegas by herself and really liked her like independent life. And she was like a teacher's like grandmotherly figure aide at an elementary school, was like living a great, like solid life. But her memory started to go, and she wasn't remembering when she was taking medications. And then I noticed that when we went to spend Thanksgiving with her in Thanksgiving 2017, that I was like, oh no, she's got mail stacked here for days, and her place smells terrible. Things haven't been washed, and it's like, this is like, it's like on the way to hoarding.
Oh, something's changed.
Something's changed.
Yeah.
And so I went through all of her mail. Like, I started going monthly to help her run errands, and then she fainted because she wasn't remembering how much medication she was taking. She over medicated on her blood thinner, and she fainted and had a head injury on the coffee table
with too much blood thinner.
with too much.
That's really scary.
Yeah. And so, I might be skipping some parts that involved my other sister too, but my sister went down there, and then I was going back and forth, and I was like, she can't, this is it. She cannot live by herself anymore. And my sister was working at the time, so I was the one going back and forth and, being there at the hospital, staying a few days, coming back. And then she was transferred to the rehab facility. I was there too, and I picked her up because I guess to answer your question is because I wasn't working.
Yeah,
because I
You
had the
could
time.
do it.
Yeah.
Do I
Because you
want to
right.
be
And
working?
you had a husband who could deal with the kids.
I had a husband, and like he's so supportive. I wouldn't be able to get through this without him. Charlie McCracken. Yeah, I got to say that because he is amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you got it by default. You got this job by default. Sort
It
of.
wasn't like, hey, yeah, everybody like pointing finger. It was just like, this shit needs to get done. I'm going to do it. There's no question. I'm the fastest that can get there. I'm not going to complain. I'm very reliable. I mean, these are strengths of mine.
Right.
So it's like, I'm going to use them. And of course, it's mom. How would I not?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, that's a long answer.
But a good one, because now we understand how you got from A to B, right?
Right.
Because I wonder how that happens, what the progression is like. What was your progression like, Cathy? I mean,
Yeah.
I've only known you with Lenore.
Yes.
So I don't know how Lenore, I mean, I think I do, but
Lenore, my mother-in-law, has lived with us for 12 years now.
holy, you are a saint.
It has been a really,
Saintly.
really long time. So my father-in-law, Stephen's dad, passed away 25 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
I
I didn't realize she lived on her own for that long.
Yeah. So he passed away in 94. I was a senior in college. Stephen was still a junior in college. Like, we were such babies back then. Like, she was essentially on her own. She had a business to run that was essentially her husband's, but she had to take over. And she was just living on her own for a while. And I knew way back then, Stephen had said basically like, I have to take care of my mom. Like, it was just like, someday I'm going to take care of my mom. Like, his need, his desire, his want, I'm not sure, but that has always been like well before we were married.
And he has a
I knew
sister?
he has a sister, an older sister who's also in Texas randomly. But he was the one who was just like, I've got to take care of mom.
Right.
Like, duty, I don't know. That's just what he wanted to have happen. So eventually, like a million years later, we moved out here.
Uh-oh. Hold on.
Oh,
Hi, babe.
I'm sorry. I didn't
Hi.
know you were podcasting.
Hi there.
What's up?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. This is Rebecca.
You look fantastic.
Thank you.
Hey, Bert. How you doing? I'm Rebecca.
Does anyone want any donuts?
Yeah, probably. If you could leave one here, that'd be great.
I don't want any donuts, but you go ahead.
That's very nice. You didn't bring. Did you bring these? I mean, did you bring these for us?
No, I just did a podcast with my fat best friend. And
These are really good donuts, actually.
Linkies are the best.
They're
Here's
voted
brown
like top 5 donuts in
one.
LA.
I'm gonna bring the rest of the island. You want one?
Is
The
Isla
rest
awake?
to Isla. Wait, is she sick?
Yeah, she's homesick.
Oh, buddy.
That
Yeah.
stinks.
I didn't know you guys were
Yeah.
podcasting. I'll let
forgot.
you guys go.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Bert.
babe.
You sound better.
I'm clearing up a little bit.
I feel much better.
Whoa. All right. Bye, babe.
I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay. Bye.
It went great, by the way.
Good. I'm glad it went great. I knew it would. High maintenance, that guy. Sorry, it interrupted
No, it's okay.
your path.
Oh, yeah.
You were saying, well, my question is,
Oh, right.
how did she get from, where were you? Boston?
She was in Connecticut.
Connecticut.
I think, yeah, that's a really good question. Why did she come when she came 12 years ago?
Yeah.
I think honestly, we were older and wiser. Like, we had gotten to a place where we were married. We had 2 children and sort of were just a little more aware of the world. And I think we became aware of the fact that Lenore was not doing very well. Financially,
okay.
she was not doing well in terms of the business. There's a lot of stuff that went down with that. There's a lot of stuff that went down with her house. Things were just not going well. And she was unhappy and lonely. And Stephen was like, it's time. We need to take care of this. Like,
Move
we had
her
been home a couple of times and had noticed some things that were just not, Lenore has always been a hoarder. But her house was, could possibly have been on a show. Like, it was really, really intense. They built that house 40 years and she kept everything for 40 years in that house.
God.
Like, you literally had to crawl over things in the basement to get.
God. But he noticed a shift. Same with you. You went to Vegas, noticed a shift.
Right.
And Stephen went home and noticed a shift.
it was like a long progression.
Yeah.
Because this was always who she was. Like, there were always papers piled high. She would have to like move papers off the dining room table, like just stacks and stacks of them. For months, she would have to move them so we could have dinner or whatever. Like, that was just sort of growing up. So like, they don't even really see that as much of an issue.
Yeah.
Both his sister and Stephen are like, yeah, that's just how she's always been.
Yeah.
Right.
Which
It's
is
those things, like,
interesting.
my mom always used to repeat herself, like,
Right.
say things over and over and over. And now she is still doing it, but I feel like it's enhanced.
Right. Like, it's hard to know, like, what is really like the personality that's always been there and what is like the decline that's currently happening. Because there's definitively a decline since she's moved out here, and whatnot. But it's really hard to know what the difference is.
Yeah. And almost like, is it pointless, or do we have to figure that out? Like, what's what? Or do we just, like, I try to accept this is what it is, and not try to analyze it so much. But at the same time, I'm having a hard time from it. It's like I have a chronic frustration, and I have to like work really hard at letting go of. Let me
know when that happens, because 12 years and can't let go. So I would love to know if you figure that out.
I've been listening to a lot of Super Soul Conversations by Oprah.
I bet that does help. But so now, when she moved here, you were in an apartment?
Yes.
Okay.
We lived in an apartment, and randomly, the apartment 2 doors down opened up. So she moved into her own apartment, but she was next door to us. And we lived there for about a year. And she, she came out here at the age of 65. She didn't know a single person, really. We have some extended relatives that she knew, but she doesn't know anyone. She's not social. She doesn't get out there. So her entire life was dependent upon us. She had dinner with us every single night. Yeah. For 11 years, she has had dinner with us. You know what I mean?
That's a lot. That's a lot. Every night, that's a lot.
It is a lot, yes.
Yeah. I'm still a baby in all this.
A lot.
Kathy, I bow down because I am still a baby in this.
Yeah, it was, I always think back to like what we could have done differently, because things are fine, I guess, but it definitely has not been the smoothest path for any of us. And it definitely not for me personally. And I always try to think back, like, what we could have done differently. And the only thing I come up with is I feel like we should have had conversations that we didn't know we needed to have. You know what I mean? Like, the expectations when you take an adult into your home, a parent, or whatever. We had a vision, I think, that was never realized or spoken about. Stephen and I never had a conversation about it. And we certainly never had a conversation with her. And I think that was our biggest mistake.
Interesting.
I did not realize at that time, and I don't really think Stephen did either, as much as he saw her decline. I don't think we realized at all how needy she was and what that was going to entail for us. Like, I think we were like, oh my God, how great would it be? Like, to go back to your first question, what's the good thing?
Yeah.
My kids have a grandparent that is with them every single flipping day. Like, who gets that? That doesn't happen in this day and age.
No.
And that's a beautiful relationship that they have. Some very special time that is really awesome. Like they have a great relationship with her.
Did I say that in the beginning? That's one of the positives, because that's my first positive,
That
number
is
one positive.
hands down the best positive.
Yes.
My kids have grown up with her, which is really, really awesome.
Very special.
You know, it is very special.
It is
and
very special.
you know, their other grandparent lives on the East Coast. Like they don't get to see her. They don't have that same relationship.
Yeah.
It's different. So that is really awesome. But, you know, I think we thought she would just come here and have a life and be independent. And that was not the reality. And it was very quickly realized that that was not the reality. And then how do you deal with that, the different expectations, but never having that conversation?
Yeah.
It's been really challenging.
What do you think you could have that conversation with her now?
No.
Too late.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely too late. And knowing who she is as a person, no.
Yeah.
No, she is, I think she's so depressed and she doesn't even realize it. And so lonely. I think, you know, one of the challenges has been like, we actually just had in the fall, like a really big sort of meltdown, and things have changed dramatically in the dynamic. And it is better for me, significantly better for me, and significantly worse for her. And I feel like her decline is more rapid now that she's realized some of the stuff that we have been saying for a long time, which I feel like shit about. But
yes, I'm sure that feels really bad. But can I tell you how happy I am for you that it is significantly better?
yes, I know. I still feel massively guilty about it, but not guilty enough to have it go back to the way it was, which is, again, something I feel really guilty about. But
so what happened? Did you just set a boundary?
yes, essentially.
Yeah.
There was just, you know, seriously 11 years of buildup. Like part of the problem is that she does not have boundaries. And because she was so needy and literally didn't have anyone but our family.
Right.
She was at our dinner table every single night. There was never a night, you know, there'd be time where I'd put the kids to bed and Stephen was coming home late and I was like, oh, I'm just going to have dinner with Stephen. Oh, I'll wait. I'm like, no, I want to have dinner with my husband.
Yeah.
Like no idea that might be inappropriate.
Right.
That we might actually need to have a relationship, you know,
Right.
like.
Yes.
There's
that awareness is not there.
It's not at all.
It's not there
and
with
like,
my mother either.
the phone call, like, you know, we would get up in the morning and go to brunch, the four of us, or go to the beach or whatever. And we would get a crying phone call. How come you didn't include me? Yeah. And I just see my husband crumble, you know, he feels so guilty, but I'm like, I want to be with my kids. I want the four of us. We're a family. Like we made this union to be a union. Like, how do we not, you know, and he being very torn with trying to please me. And, you know, my kids didn't care one way or the other, whether she was there or not, you know, it was really about pleasing me or pleasing his mother, you know, and him being in an impossible situation. Yeah. It's really, really hard, you know?
Yeah. So if you could rewind and have the conversation now that you have all the knowledge, so someone listening, or even Rebecca who just started, what's the conversation you would have? What are the parameters you would set? How would you start it over? If you could push rewind and start over, what would you do differently?
I think we would have that conversation. Like, what are your expectations? Like, you coming to live here, what do you want out of life? What do you want? What do you expect? Do you want to be with us every day? Do you want to babysit the kids? Do you expect to be with us every day? Do you want to be independent? Do you want to live in our home? Do you want to just live in our back house? Do you want, you know what I mean? Like, do you want to live, you know, across town? Do you want to live in a retirement community where you have tons of people that you can socialize with and we come visit you, or you come visit us because you can still drive, and all of those kinds of things, and be independent? Like, I think we needed to have those kinds of conversations.
Well, those are all questions you would ask her about her needs. What would you say about your needs?
That's a good question. Back then, I didn't know.
No. If you could rewind
now
and say it from the knowledge you have now.
For all the babies in the house.
Yeah, right.
I would say that we need our space.
Yeah.
Like, that was hands down the hardest thing is not having any space to be a family. There was no ability for the four of us to be a family.
Shit.
Everything we did had to include her.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's such a lovely human.
She is.
Like,
Sure.
she's not a bad person
She's
at all.
lovely,
She just
yeah.
did not understand that we needed to be a family. And I honestly feel like I missed out on having my kids a little bit be
Yeah.
that, because she was always there.
I wonder if you could say something like, we need you to have your own life. We need you
We
to
have
find
actually said
something
things like that
you're
in the
involved
past, which has, like this is the challenging part, is she doesn't really realize that she doesn't have a life. She doesn't really realize what she's doing. She has very little self-awareness, which is a challenge. And I think that's part of her personality.
Same.
Yeah. And it's, how do you teach somebody self-awareness at the age of 77?
Right.
I don't know.
I've had this cold for
Oh,
You
darn it.
okay?
days. Sorry.
Oh.
Kathy, do you want to have a sticker?
Yes.
Oh, thank you
Oh,
very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, everybody
Halston?
listening. Sorry. Thank you.
Halston?
Yeah.
Like the designer?
Yep.
Named after the designer?
Yep.
Really? That's so sweet.
Thank you, Halston. Sorry, I didn't hear half of
So-
what you last said. I was trying to control my coughing. Sorry.
No,
That's
no.
okay. Don't worry about it. I don't know where I left off. I was saying,
either.
I think she has very little self-awareness. So
Yeah,
we have had the
same.
conversation before about you need to have a life. So,
Right.
and we had this very early on, which resulted in my taking her to a mahjong group so that she could play mahjong with other women her age, whatever, which has helped tremendously. In that she does actually have this little social network where she's like the spring chicken in the group. So I don't know what's going to happen in a few years. I'm a little terrified. But she goes to play mahjong every Thursday, which is lovely.
For how long? For how long?
Except, they play for like 4 hours or
Nice.
whatever.
Yeah, because that's a long game.
It is a long game. And,
That's 4 blessed hours.
Right.
it is 4 blessed hours, but it's 4 in 7 days.
Right.
Do you know
It's
what I
not
mean?
enough.
Yes,
So
yes.
while that is great, it never materialized into anything more than that.
Right.
It doesn't, and she does have friends within, and occasionally they'll
Because
go
you
see a
guys made it
movie
happen for
or
her.
whatever. Correct.
Because you guys made it happen for her.
And she won't ever
She's-
step out.
Right. She's not going to
No.
go past that 4 hours. It's going to be like you guys having to find more hours.
Yes.
Yeah. So volunteering at the
it's hard.
library or at a
And I
senior
have
center
suggested
or-
that. I was like, why don't you read to kids at the library? Why don't you volunteer at the elementary
you'd be
school?
so awesome at
Why
that.
don't you do? And she just can't or won't. I really think fundamentally she's depressed and she won't address it.
Have you ever thought about addressing the depression, like medically?
We have actually. Stephen has gone to the doctor with her and had a conversation with her doctor about it.
A neurologist or a
and
primary care?
primary
Okay.
care. And nothing has really happened from it. So
So what do you think is
You
the
know.
hardest part? The best part is that your kids have grandparents. What's another? Well, let's just do this. What's another good thing? That's an obvious one. I mean, I would
Yeah.
say, duh.
Right.
Obviously, they have their grandparents, and that is really special because all my kids' grandparents are back east.
right.
What's another positive?
It's tricky.
It's tricky
I'm sure
as
there's
we're
another positive.
yes, as you could see, there's already a lot of time that's gone by, and I have not come up with a second positive. Seconds have gone by. It's turning into a minute, and I'm still thinking.
Still reaching.
Okay, here when I'm put in boiling water, I do tend to bring out it brings out my strengths. That's been one thing. Creatively, it's like shit. All right, this is the situation that I'm put in, and when I have like things in my life that are hard for me to deal with, I go straight to making shit up, or straight to improvising, talking about it in front of people. It's a crazy need that I have, but it's been or writing it down. I haven't, because it's been mostly in writing and thinking in my mind, which is sometimes really bad for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like to kind of like try to fix it all in up here. It's too much. I need to like express it somehow.
Get it out.
Yeah. I go to Decades Dance at Village Arts.
Nice.
Jeannie
Very
Simpson,
nice.
hell of a teacher, I tell you. Dance it out, move it out, write it out. These are my
Coping
so in that
skills.
way, it's positive for me because that's what I've done all my life.
Right.
So it just makes me do more of that, but not without help. I
Right.
needed major help from listening to Super Soul, but also I went to a life coaching workshop by Laverne McKinnon and a couple other gals that are fabulous life coaches. And I cried through fucking all of it. It was just like, yes, that's what I need. I need that. And I need all these tools. And I'm trying to like still process that day and like very slowly trying to like implement these tools. But it is with great effort. But I'm like, all right, you're kind of going through mud right now, but you're going through mud forward. So that's at least a step in the right direction for me.
So it sounds like that's how you're coping with it, right? You're
Yeah.
coping with it by getting more creative
Yeah.
and going to workshops to learn more tools and try and implement those tools.
I mean, otherwise I'll go fucking mad. If I don't have the chance to be creative, I will go crazy. You will see me at the exit ramp off the 101 on Coldwater asking you for Z-bars or whatever you got in your purse.
Well, how do you cope, Cathy?
I don't know. I held it in for a really, really long time. I didn't cope with it in a very healthy way for a long time, I don't think.
No.
No, definitely not. But I will say, in some weird way, it has probably, I don't know if it's helped Stephen and I, but we definitely have a different level of communication about her and about us and our needs in relation to her these days, which we didn't have before. I think I was
before fall.
no, even
No.
before that. I think I was so afraid to voice my frustration because I saw how hurt he was
Yeah.
and how torn he was. I kept a lot inside, which was really unhealthy for us.
Yeah.
And then, he would let something out and I would be like, oh, that's my cue. And I would like vomit. And he would be like, I can't handle this.
Right.
And get really angry. And, we found a balance where like he can voice his frustration, but that doesn't give me license to just vomit what I'm feeling.
Right.
Because that's not healthy.
No.
I need to be supportive of him and vice versa. Like I can actually express my frustration and him hear it
Right.
and not feel guilty about it, you know?
Right.
So I think in some ways it has definitely helped us definitely deal with this situation.
Do you think it would have been helpful going back to applying what you've learned if you could apply it in the beginning? How would you have handled your marriage differently if you knew then what you know now?
I think we would have been a lot more open with each other.
Is
You
there
know
a
what I mean?
conversation you could have had? Like, this is what I'm trying to help someone who's
Yeah.
just now starting the situation. What conversation
Yeah.
could you and Stephen have had with each other about your own relationship and how to deal with Lenore that would have been helpful?
I'm trying to think back because I knew, like, I remember this very vividly. 6 months into her being here, I was like, oh, this is a disaster.
6
Like-
months and you've been 12 years later?
Yeah, I knew. I knew.
Oh my
And
God.
I feel like if I could have said that to him then, instead of just what I did for a very long time when I saw things falling apart is I just changed what I did. I compensated and I fixed things and I worked around
Right.
instead of dealing with the actual issue.
Isn't that something
And
we always
had
do?
I done that right back then, I think things would have been a lot different.
Sure.
If you had just sat down and said, this is
If
not
I had
working.
said, I said, this isn't working. And I was like, well, but I presented the solution. I was like, I can't believe this. And then I fixed it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I came to him and I was like, this isn't working and this is what I'm doing. And he was like, okay. And I think
see.
that was not super healthy for anyone.
It's not a team atmosphere.
I didn't know that back then, but it definitely wasn't. I should have said, how do we fix this? What do we do? This isn't working for me.
Right.
This isn't working for this dynamic. And
would it have been helpful? I don't even know if this would have been helpful to have had some kind of, like Bert and I do this thing called the summit, where every once in a while we have a summit and we sit down and go, what's working? What's not working? And we're on neutral territory because we're not fighting. This is not about anything specific.
right.
It's just a summit because really a marriage is a partnership. A partnership really is like a business.
Yeah.
Even though marriage is obviously more than a business. If you can approach problems in a neutral ground, just say,
Without judgment, without attachment.
exactly,
Right.
just saying let's honestly, factually, what's working
Here's the data.
Right.
and what's not working.
Right.
And now let's adjust. And because inevitably you'll have these conversations when you're fighting, or you'll fight about what the problem is. And then there are agendas and assumptions and behaviors and reactions and emotions that aren't really productive or even accurate
Right.
because it's too intense.
Yes.
Right.
So I wonder if it would have been helpful to have had some kind of summit. Like let's have a summit in
Absolutely.
the beginning, all three of us.
I think
And
the
then-
other thing is, like I didn't know that's what needed to happen.
No, of
Do you know what I
course.
mean? Like,
How would you?
I have known
No.
for so long that this was going to be our life.
Of course.
Literally before we were married, we had been dating a year, and I knew
At some point.
that at some point she was going to be with us because he felt like that needed to happen.
Yeah.
So once we're in that situation, knowing that this is our life, knowing that we've just relocated her from Connecticut to here, knowing that everything is now on us, I was just like, all right, I got a deal. So I did. And that was a mistake on my part.
You deal in
I
the
didn't
way
have enough
that you
self-awareness.
knew how to deal.
Like you
You
just
did.
deal with it. You just do. Just like
Right.
you have a second kid, you like do whatever. Like you get through the day. And I was getting through the day without really having the awareness or foresight or whatever to know that something needed to be done differently.
I have a question
Mm-hmm.
because I think I'm very similar in a certain aspect. I had a conversation with myself before I got married to Bert, and I went, he's a slob. He doesn't put his Q-tips in the garbage. The Coke can is going to end up on the counter on top of where the garbage can is. Does not pick up his underwear. Does not flush the toilet. You're walking into this marriage knowing that this is here. So you can't complain about it.
Right.
And I did that. And then as 15, 17 years later, you go, I should fucking be able to complain about that.
Oh yeah.
It's completely unnatural that someone does not flush the shit in the toilet.
You
It's
do not
unnatural.
have to like that. It would be weird if you liked that.
There's part of me that goes, but I walked in eyes wide open, so you can't complain. Is that what you did a little bit?
A little bit.
That's
Yes.
what, yeah.
Like
where
I
you
knew
go,
what it was. I knew what I was
Exactly.
getting into, and I was okay with it. I was fine with her being with us.
right.
Of
Of
know
course
what I
you
mean?
are.
So I feel like I
Circumstances.
shouldn't say anything.
Right. Yes.
However,
No, everything needs, I feel like everything needs that duality. You can hate something and be okay with it at the same time.
Well,
I feel
that's
like
true.
right?
Yes.
Right. You can absolutely despise it and know like this is, and then be all, this is what it is.
I think that is true. However, the point I'm making is I felt like I had kept myself trapped in not being able to say anything because I had been in agreement with it when the relationship started.
Sure.
So I think she may have done
Right.
the similar thing and went, I knew this was coming.
Yeah.
So I really can't complain about it.
Right.
Because I knew it was coming. So then you eat your feelings.
Yeah.
You don't talk about your feelings. And then all of a sudden, Bert says, I don't, like we were talking about earlier, how my asshole husband used 4 towels in 24 hours. I used 2 towels a week. He used 4 in 24 hours. I found one in the car, one on the floor, one in his suitcase, and one in my sink. In my sink on my side of the bathroom, which I've a million times said, here's the line. This is my side of the sink. You can't have this side. Everything's so tidy and clean. You can put your fucking whiskers all over your side. Nope, towels in my sink. And there's just part of me that goes, you knew what you were getting into, so you just got to eat it.
Right. That's the shit sandwich.
It's the shit sandwich.
I mean, I don't remember who said it or where I heard it, but it's like with every job or whatever, with everything you involve yourself in, there's going to be a shit sandwich you're going to have to eat somewhere.
Right.
And those wet towels, those whiskers, those Q-tips,
I
that's
agree
all
with
in that
you,
sandwich, and you got to eat it.
Again, I have the shift from you knew what the shit sandwich was and you knew you were going to be eating it to actually I should have a voice about whether or not I eat the shit sandwich.
Sure.
It's not fair for me to continue to say, I'll adjust myself.
Right.
I'll bob and weave.
Right.
And I'll ask nothing of you to change because I knew this is who you were when I married you, or I knew this was going to happen when I married Stephen. I was going to have Lenore. But I think how you organize that in your responsibility is the problem, or it was for me.
Yeah.
No. So
I
see
think you're
that.
right.
Yeah.
However, I also think that
Same.
I'm not sure that it could have been done differently until this long later.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like both of us needed to grow and develop more as
In
a couple
your
and have
time.
Lenore with us and whatnot.
right.
Like
Yes.
I don't think I could have had that conversation with him back then.
Right.
Now, of course, I can be like,
Yeah.
I'm not eating that shit sandwich. Like,
Right.
no, this
Right.
is not happening anymore.
Even just
and
saying
he can
it,
hear it.
just saying it.
But back then, yeah, that's the
Well,
problem.
hopefully-
and how do you get to that place earlier on so
Right.
you don't have to go through the anger, the hurt, the disappointment, the frustration?
I'm wondering,
know,
what
like,
am I
how do
keeping
you do that?
inside? You guys are like making my wheels turn and like saying, okay, what am I not saying? Am I saying everything? Am I emptying my tank in a like productive manner? Healthy? Like I question, like, am I doing this all right? I try to like stay aware of everything and all my emotions and keep them in, acknowledge and also do all this like self work. But I still question, all right, what am I not doing right? And
Right.
shit, that'll fuck you up. They're like, what? All right, Rebecca, what are you not doing right now?
Yeah. Well, hopefully someone who's listening, this will, raise the bottom sort of to say,
Right.
well, you don't have to wait 12 years to have this conversation. Maybe you have the conversation 6 months in and it saves you the 11 and a half years of trying to figure it out, because that's
Right.
what you were doing. You weren't doing anything wrong. You were just trying to figure it out with Stephen. You guys were trying to figure this out.
Right.
And that's your process. But hopefully someone can hear and go, okay, maybe there needs to be a conversation with my two sisters where we really lay out, here's how this
And
is
I
going
got
to
a
work.
brother in Jersey.
You have a brother in Jersey?
Yeah. So he's like has stuff going on, and what didn't make sense for my mom to go all the way over there. It's back to that thing where I was the one that was, had the time and could. Right?
Yeah, and could. I'm so
Would.
nervous when I'm an only child. And my dad is, I guess, common law married. I mean, he's been with this woman, for his girlfriend, for a long time. So I consider them married, even though they're not legally married. And she's younger than he is by probably like 7 or 8 years younger. So I think he'll be with her if he gets in ill health. But I worry about that. I wonder, it would be really hard for him to move from rural Georgia to Los Angeles.
Oh my God.
And I can't move my family to rural Georgia. And how I worry about this quite a bit, because I would want him to be happy
Yeah.
in his older years, and he would not be happy here. I don't think he'd be happy with me and my family, but he wouldn't be happy living in LA. He doesn't know how to play mahjong. He don't know how to do that shit. He'd need to stay there. And how do you do that from somewhere so far away? You want to make sure that person is as happy as they can be.
Well, I will tell you, I'm going through that with my mom right now, who's still back in Maine, who originally wanted to retire out here. And I was like, oh, dear God, I can't handle that for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
And then honestly, being older and wiser, I sat down and I was like, listen, we need to have a very serious conversation. One, financially, you cannot afford to live here.
Right.
Like that's what we're struggling with Lenore right now. She can't afford to live here either. So now that has become an additional burden on us that we have to financially support her.
Right.
So I could have that conversation with my mom, though, and say, this is not realistic. There's no place that you can afford to be here. So what's the alternative? And we found a very happy alternative, hopefully, for her. She's going to go live in a retirement community. She owns her house. She's so sick of being in her house and having to deal with the stuff that comes along with home ownership.
Yeah.
And who's going to blow out her driveway, and they didn't make it today, so she can't get out and go to the supermarket because she can't shovel her own driveway, and all of that kind of stuff. So she's going to an independent retirement community as soon as a spot opens. So she she can still be independent. She can still drive, but they have medical care if she should ever need it.
Yes.
And all of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh my God, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel better. Although I hope, she was very ill a few years ago. She's now completely better and hopefully will stay that way for a very long time. But it's really hard being 3,000 miles away and trying to manage care and trying to talk to doctors in a different time zone and trying to figure out all of that stuff. What's happening, what's not happening.
How old is she?
Very stressful. 76.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's still pretty young.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty young.
Yeah. Yeah. She's still, other than that one bout, she's in pretty good health. So
that's a great plan.
It is a really good plan.
And you have a plan.
That's dreamy.
There is a plan. If we can just make it to that point,
it's the plan.
I'd like her not to have to do another winter.
Our plan didn't work out. My family's plan did not work out.
Right.
That's
and
the fear.
I still even through all this, I still love my sister. I don't love her husband. But there are some good positive things about him. But I have no reason to hang with him.
Yeah.
It's stressful. It's really stressful
that
on
didn't
the
work
family.
out.
And if, you don't have a good relationship with your siblings, this definitely does not help.
We can come, me and my siblings, thank goodness, can come together and get business taken care of about this.
Right.
If they want to know what's up with mom, I'm very busy. And, if they want to come to me and know, I'll give them whatever information they'd like. If they want to talk to her, how involved they want to be, I will take as much help as I can get because it's a lot. My two siblings that don't live here, can't help much.
Right.
Their thoughts and prayers don't really do much for me. Just isn't that the theme of the fucking world?
My sister-in-law, so every once in a while, Lenore will go to Texas and visit. So it gives us a complete break. She's just not here for a little while.
I don't know if that can happen.
Does that ever happen?
No,
yeah.
I don't know that can happen because my brother-in-law said that she couldn't live there anymore because of me and my questioning about the financial status.
Wow. So he's punishing her because of his perception of what you did.
Oh, right.
That's really not nice. Seems awfully convenient.
Really
It seems very convenient for him to make that decision.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's not even his mom. It's not his mom.
Yeah. Right. But it's really unfair to your sister.
Oh, sure.
It's her mom.
It is her mom. Yeah. I'm not hearing her thoughts about what she thinks about what he did. I understand, love and honor your husband and all that kind of stuff. But I'm also very into, hey, call that shit out when it's wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she has in her own time, maybe not in front of me. It's not my decision. That's okay if she has or she hasn't. But the truth is that I think that was a really shitty move.
Yeah. Sounds like it was really uncalled for. Just really unnecessary and uncalled for.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. People get their panties in a wad about things that it's just not necessary.
Oh,
What's
he
the
has, I
point?
could probably count 50 panties
wadded up. Huh?
wadded up, all up in his ass.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, over the years, I'm done counting your panties. I'm done counting your
Take
panties.
this wad and shove it. Oh, it's too bad.
Yeah.
But I love my mommy. I really do. She's really sweet and wonderful and funny, mysterious and crazy, drives me nuts. All those things, all those the negative things somehow, I got to find the light in those dark places or I'll go nuts.
Yeah.
Cold water 101.
We've kind of covered this, but I want to ask this question point blank. How has this negatively affected you? Either your self-esteem or your health, your mental health, your relationships. How has it negatively affected you?
Good question. You want me to answer?
Whoever, either one.
Mine and my husband's relationship has become strained.
Okay.
It's like, it's stressful to have mom there, and he's, even though he's been so supportive and he will help her at the drop of a hat, he will listen to her. He will be so caring. At the same time, though, like you don't, it's taken me away from doing things with him or that you would normally kind of do when your kids are like almost 13 and 8, that you kind of have the freedom to do. I'm not out of the woods yet as far as taking care of people. We're in that sandwich generation where I have, I guess, younger and older to take care of. But I feel like if I just had my 2 instead of my 3, because I feel like I kind of do have a third child in some ways.
Right.
And that to me is a bummer because like I want her to, be independent. I know she'd like to because there are some things that she would like to do. But shit, I mean, she needs care beyond my scope, I think, in, memory care. Mm-hmm. I'm trying my best to like be patient. I'm not going to act like a caregiver that has memory training. And bitches, I'm not about to go to workshops to learn how to deal with Alzheimer's and all that kind of stuff. I know that there are caregiving workshops. Oh my God. I'm trying to like move myself forward. And there are things that I really want to do with myself.
Yeah.
And I see it as a negative that I am not able to do those things as quickly as I would like.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, bitch, then you're going to have to come with me in this creative journey somehow.
Right.
But like, it's hard. It's really hard.
It seems really hard.
I think you actually bring up a really good point. Like as your children are growing and maturing and you're sort of moving out of that like immediate care role, you have somebody who's regressing. Yeah. And requiring more and more care. So you're like being pulled back into that role without.
Yeah. Like pretty soon I would be able to like maybe go out with Charlie and the kids can maybe in 6 months to a year, like stay home together if they don't fucking fight all the time.
Yeah. Right.
If I could, I feel like that trust could come soon, but, no, I don't feel my mom can't stay home with them. Mm-hmm. I, have to hire a babysitter, for them, but mostly for her. So she feels okay because she's not okay to stay at home by herself. Right. And I cannot leave her in charge with the kids.
Right.
So I'm very much back in the trenches.
Yeah. That's really hard because now you're.
Yeah.
I'm shuttling just like I do the kids. I take her to all of her appointments. She will not take the free transportation to places because she's afraid she's going to get murdered. I hear ya.
My God, I mean the same thing. I'm trying to make that happen, and Lenore won't do it either.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, I said. It's because
she doesn't think she's going to get murdered.
No. Oh yeah, my mom.
My mom thinks right.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, my mom's like, yes, I'm gonna at least get raped.
Oh my God! Because people are really trolling.
She doesn't say that. She be like, if it's a man, that's code for rape.
Yeah, right. Because men are really trolling for 4'11".
Yes, the 77-year-old women
with rope sandals
shaped like a dummy.
Yeah. Yeah, that Lyft driver's like, oh yes, I'm looking for some 5-foot Mexicans, about 80, please, today.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah.
I would imagine that would make me depressed. I think if I felt the way you just described, I would start feeling hopeless and trapped and depressed.
I was, guys.
Yeah.
Newsflash, I was.
That was hard. And there are, I don't know what these resources are, but I know that Margaret, who's been on my show a bunch of times.
Yeah, love that. Goldenberg?
Yeah.
Hey.
She in the past was a caretaker for elderly. And I know that there's funding for people where you can get like a babysitter, where she would do grocery shopping, take them to and from their doctor's appointments, make sure their medication was all set up, people who still wanted to live independently but needed help.
Right.
And there was some federal funding for that.
Yes.
And I know that that's something that you could look into maybe if you got to your breaking point.
We're going to get her on Medi-Cal. It's something that like, for some reason, I got to like, why are you avoiding this, Rebecca? Like, do these things that will secure a stable future.
Yeah.
Um,
I was pointing
because
to my
it's
head.
Overwhelming. Like it's overwhelming and daunting, and you don't know anything about it. And
yeah.
honestly, I don't really want to learn about it.
Yeah.
Like I know I should, but
right. It's like I'm dealing with the
I'm
things that
not
are right in
interested.
front of me. Okay, appointment this day, appointment, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. And then everything else for the future seems so big.
Yeah.
But that's what I believe right now. That's the story I'm telling myself, and I have to say, no, I don't need to believe that it's so big. I can try. Haven't been able to do it yet. I can try to change my thought patterns about that.
It's hard to do, though. I think
it is
part
hard
of
to
it,
do.
if it were me, I would imagine for me, the not wanting to take the workshop about memory loss or not wanting to take that step would be me tantruming because I didn't want to have to deal with this.
Yes.
I shouldn't have to deal with
It's me
this.
not wanting to get ready for school in the morning.
Something. It's a big fucking tantrum.
Is that
because
right?
I would have a
right.
tantrum. I had a tantrum when I was a new mom over and over again. I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? I haven't slept for 4 days. Just go to sleep, and you just tantrum because you can't handle it anymore.
That's our tantrums.
I mean, we're
different tantrums.
We all have tantrums. And I think I would be like, I'm not fucking learning one thing. I am not becoming an expert in Alzheimer's. Even though really at the end of the day it would probably be really helpful. Right. But I would be
And
the
you're
same
going
way.
to anyway. Ultimately, like you're
Yes.
going to. Like if that's your path that you're
Yes.
walking, you're going to one way or
So
another.
you may as well take the workshop.
Right.
But I would be the same way. I'd be
Yes.
like, fuck that workshop.
Yeah.
Fuck that workshop in the ass.
Thank
I'm
you.
not doing it.
Thank you. For now.
It's horrible.
For now.
What a horrible place to be. I mean, it's bad to say this is horrible, horrible, horrible. I don't mean
No,
that.
it's challenging.
It's challenging.
Really challenging.
Listen,
It's
y'all.
perfect. It's challenging.
I just came from a funeral.
Yes.
From my friend's mother.
Yeah.
My friend's mother passed away, and her mother used to live with her as well.
Oh.
This is all very fitting. And throughout the funeral service, there wasn't one family member that didn't say she was selfless. She put others before her all the time. And like, that was like one of the top things that this wonderful mother and sister, teacher, caregiver of others, always put others before herself. And whatever you just said just reminded me, and I feel like I'm losing track. But that's where we get so fucked up. And like, I feel like, all right, I want to, dig in and really try to work for myself first, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to deal with you.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling now and I'm trailing
That's
off.
okay. I know what you're saying. I think what you're saying is, I think we grew up with some mixed messages, right?
Yeah.
Because we had our moms went through the sexual revolution, so to speak, and women's lib, but their moms were 50s moms, 1950s, 1940s moms, right? And so when that pendulum swung, and you're like, Mom, women power, you're supposed to be able to do everything, and then we're stuck in this place where women are caretakers by nature. I'm sorry, that's kind of how we're wired.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very nurturing.
to not be the caretaker is a very hard decision to make,
Mm-hmm.
right? we were told, I think, or at least I was told, not to make that decision, not to be a caretaker. And
For
then
sure.
when you are a caretaker, it's just so all encompassing, I think. I don't know how to halfway caretake. I don't know how to go, okay, I'm going to take care of you. And from 2 to 4, I'm leaving. I don't know
Right,
how to do
right.
that.
But it's the same thing as like when you're a new mom. Like all the advice is if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else.
Right.
Like you can't be a good mom if you're not a person, if you can't take care of yourself.
Right.
And it's the same thing. But then how do you really balance that?
Right. How do
Right.
How
How
do
do you
you, like-
actually do that?
Right.
How do you
Especially
apply it?
when you still have those kids that you have to take care of. And now you have this other adult who really is a child, but is an adult. So how do you treat them as an adult when really they have the mental capacity of a child?
Yes.
Like how does, like that's also incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
How do you treat this person as an adult? But like they're just not sometimes.
To continue
It's-
to always
yes.
maintain their dignity, right? You
Yes,
have to always want to keep their dignity intact. And my grandfather had dementia, and he worked on a loop too, where he would he had a 4-wheeler and he would drive in his pasture, and he'd come to my dad's shop and he'd tell my dad something, and then he'd drive in the pasture and he'd come in the shop verbatim, same thing. Drive in the pasture, come in the shop verbatim. And my dad would just have to act like every time it was the first time he'd heard it.
Right.
Because to not give him his dignity. And he doesn't remember that he was just here 20 minutes ago telling you that the cow is giving calf in the pasture. He thinks this is all news to you. It was so challenging for my dad to have the patience
Yes.
to spend an 8-hour day with every 20-minute report of the exact same verbatim words from his dad.
Right. I must have needed more patient lessons because I am getting them right now.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot to ask.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's a lot to manage,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you have teenagers.
It
Yeah.
is challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm about to start that book, Untangled.
Yeah,
Oh, it's a great book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we need a podcast about that book.
We should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I want to
think-
reread it
I have to read it
actually.
again.
I'm going to read it and
It's a really good book.
let y'all know.
It's very helpful.
Okay, good. Because, somebody recommended it to me yesterday
It's a very helpful book about raising
and I
teenage daughters.
bought it right away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really great book about raising teenage daughters. It gave me excellent perspective, which helped me have more patience.
Yeah.
So maybe,
Hey, maybe I Untangled for 80-year-old moms.
maybe,
Right.
maybe, or maybe the memory loss clinic that you're avoiding would give you more patience. I don't know. What is your
Right.
hardest?
I'll
What
get
is-
there.
How
I'll
has
get
it
there.
affected negatively? We heard how it affected Rebecca
Yeah.
negatively. How has this affected you negatively?
I think I talked about it a little bit. I got really angry. I was very, very angry and resentful for a long time and just sort of bottled everything in. Which is maybe on the same lines of depression. Like it just manifested itself as anger
Yeah.
instead of
Mhm.
depression. And a massive guilt because I don't think I should be angry. I don't think I should be frustrated. So I feel massively guilty about being angry with her because she's a great human.
Yeah.
Like she has so many good qualities and I hate her all at the same time.
Yeah.
And I feel terrible about that. And I don't know, it's really, really hard. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to be angry with her. I don't want to be resentful. And I am, and I can't stop it. And I don't like that about me.
Okay, do you mind if I ask you a question?
No, go ahead.
With this significant change,
Mhm.
do you think like you're getting closer to taking care of yourself a little bit more so that maybe that will like help the guilt
I keep
and
hoping.
dissipate?
I mean, I definitely feel a lot better, but like
It's still there.
it's
for
still
sure.
there. And like
Absolutely.
I have no patience left for her anymore, which I hate.
Yeah.
She's definitely made some changes and she's definitely trying to do some things differently. But the second she screws up, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
I've had 12 years of being pissed at her. And
It's a fat trigger.
and you know what I mean? So she tries for like 20 minutes to be really good and then it falls. And I'm like, see, I knew it.
oh, right.
Which
right,
is
right,
not okay. And it is okay. And I know it is, but I
Yeah.
really don't like that. I
Yes.
really don't want to feel that way. And I
Yeah.
still do. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I feel like that's the worst part for me is I don't like looking at myself feeling this way about her.
Right.
Sure.
Well, it's
So.
out of it's not who you are. It's really
I
not
mean,
who you are.
Clearly it is.
no,
it hasn't gone
no.
away.
No, you're
but
right,
I
Leanne.
don't
It's not.
like it to
No,
be
it's
who I
not
am.
who you are.
You're
No,
right.
it's
She's
not.
right.
So,
Leanne's
but
right.
what's happened is this is built up over time, and there's this one little section where it's not in alignment with who you are. It's really
Right.
out of alignment. So I don't know how you get it back in alignment. I don't know
Yeah.
if you
I don't know
Tricky.
either.
talk therapy, if you go to group therapy or something, if there's some way you get it out of your body.
Right.
Because really, I know for me, my anger and resentment and guilt cycle I had with my mom only got better when I could get it out of my body, when I could go to somebody who's a therapist and really let loose.
Mhm.
This is how I feel. And just cursing, screaming, negative, nasty. Like, I'm definitely going to hell for even speaking this about my mother. But that's how it let the steam off, the pressure valve, you know, where you just whoosh, and then then it starts unraveling. And then you go, oh, okay, this is more in alignment with who I am. Now, I'm not angry at my mother at all. I forgave her for everything. I'm not ever going to forget anything, but I have no ill will for her. I want her to be happy and find love and have a wonderful life. I really wish she could do that. But I don't think I ever would have gotten to that place if I didn't find myself some safe place where I could say everything I wanted to say, even if it was hurtful and nasty.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could even do that in a journal, if there was somewhere you could get it out of your
Right.
body, because I think you have to speak it in some form.
This right here is significant. Just
Oh,
saying from the
thank you.
outside.
If you
And-
don't speak it,
Right.
Right.
Leanne,
Write it.
What you're doing right now is significant and of great help to
Oh.
both of us. And I think my neck is going to snap off because I've just been, at the both of you.
Well, you know what? That's actually interesting that
grateful.
you said that because we have actually talked about this numerous times and I have flat out refused. I've not really refused any podcast that you've ever asked me to do.
No.
And I've been like, nope, I can't do it. I can't talk about it. I
Right.
can't talk about her. I'm
Cathy,
so
this is
angry.
great
I
that you
can't.
are.
Yeah, it
And
is.
it's really only recently that I'm like, you know what? I can talk about her and not be shitty because she's not
Right.
shitty at all.
No.
You know what I mean? And for so long, all I've been able to say is really negative things about her. And that's not fair because that's not right.
And it's not who you are, Cathy.
and it's not who
just
she is at
not
all.
who Cathy
So
Fromkin is.
I haven't
Mm.
I haven't for a very long time. I've
Right.
not been able to talk about it. So
Yeah, I don't know.
maybe it's happening.
Maybe it's
on some
happening.
level.
It is
Maybe
happening.
it's
You know what I
happening
mean?
on some
Maybe
level.
It is.
It's not, I want it to happen more quickly. I want to be less
Sure.
angry, but maybe it is happening.
Yes.
Well, maybe
So
think about
that's
doing that.
healthy.
Even if
That's
you
huge. This
if
is
you
huge.
Yeah.
voice memo it. If
Right.
if you write it. I mean, seriously, getting
Yeah.
it
Honestly.
articulating
Because
is
that-
a way of valuing yourself. That's how you say I matter. And this doesn't need to
Absolutely.
go past me knowing what I feel and that I matter.
Mhm.
Because I know when I used to, one of my therapists, only had two, but one of them, probably Bob, said to me, write her a letter. Write your mother a letter
Mhm.
and make it the nastiest,
Mhm.
make it everything you want to say, and then burn it and let it go.
Right.
Because you've got it out of your body, and then you burn it and you send it to the ethers, and no one is ever going to see it.
It's where it loses power.
It loses its power.
Yeah.
It deflates. It
Yeah.
deflates everything.
It does, but then
loses
she walks
power
back
over
in the
you.
room. So you know what I mean?
No,
like
no,
our
but
cycle is back.
but that's not how it works. That's actually not how it works. It's
Yeah.
not. I swear it's not. If you write that letter and you burn that letter, when she comes back in, I guarantee you would feel differently. You may not feel like, oh, bluebirds are in the air
Right.
and everything's wonderful,
Right.
but you would feel like, okay,
Zippity-doo-dah.
all right, here we go.
Right.
And then you write another letter, and then you write a letter about
Right.
what happened that day. You know, it's work. I'm not saying it's not work
Yeah.
or effortless.
Obviously. I mean, it's been 12 years of.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So-
That's a lot.
And you know, it's a lot of you putting yourself in the back. You know, for Stephen's
Yeah.
sake,
Others
for
first.
Lenore's sake, for your kids' sake,
Right.
for the peace of the household, for the greater good. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But to reconcile that person that's been in the back of the bus
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
whole time does take some effort. Whatever that effort is, you should go to the dance class and just,
Will you come?
this is for Lenore. I'm going to boogie this out for Lenore, right?
Come to Decades Dance.
There you go.
Yeah, but you guys are all dancers. I am not walking.
No.
in that room.
I am not.
dancer.
I'm not a dancer. And this is like literally like learning moves you would have done on the dance floor in the 20s through the 90s. Is
So
basically it. I mean, you've done some of them already.
Not well.
But we all like laugh. I mean, I laugh so hard in that class because I just feel like, ridiculous. It's so fun, and make jokes, historical jokes because, we're going through those times. Anyway, you got to come.
Some way to get
Both of
that
you.
out of your body.
Yeah.
I think you need to, because it really isn't in alignment with who you are. Because Lenore is a sweetheart.
She is.
She's a sweetheart.
One thing I learned from Laverne McKinnon was, and I go through this in my brain, it's now becoming like a little habit of, I'm forming is like, am I honoring my values or am I stepping on my values right now?
Mm-hmm.
Those two questions right there, like if I got anything from that workshop or anything from hanging out with Laverne, it's those two questions and what's the truth? What's the truth? I can make up all kinds of stories and have all these conversations in my head, but the truth is I'm sitting here on this couch,
Right.
talking into a microphone.
It's about being
Right.
grounded in fact.
Right.
Truth is fact. It's fact based, right? If you can get yourself to the facts, then
Right. And remove the emotion.
Exactly.
Yes.
Emotions
Right.
go away.
It's so hard to
Yes.
detach sometimes.
It
isn't
really is. Yes.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
If you get to the fact, you can work your way up from there. And the fact is, Cathy values how she treats every person, stranger, forward.
You do.
Yes.
That is part of your value
Yes,
system.
that is very true.
That you very much value how you treat people.
Yes.
So that, I think that is the guilt. Is that
100%.
You don't, your value
Yes.
system is what did you say?
Either honoring your values or stepping on your values.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'm really glad you talked about it. And it was her idea to have you on. I've been waiting. I've been asking over and over again, will
She
you
has
come
been
and talk
asking
about
for a long
living with
time.
an in-law? Please talk about living with an in-law. And then
Right.
finally she said, you know what? I think I know someone I could talk to you about it with.
Right.
Oh,
So-
that makes me feel like pretty special. This is magical to, I feel like the thing is that whoever gets to hear your story, it's special. I feel like in your eyes. Have y'all? I'm sure you guys know Brene Brown.
Oh, love her.
Yes.
I mean, when she says something like that, like you get to hear my story, like you get to hear these problems, like that person, you got to find those people who you're able to do that with, and not have that judgment, that attachment. So, thank you for thinking of me for this. That's awesome. And I'm so glad that it's like, maybe you don't see it right now. I feel like this is a big chunky seed for you. And it's like, you're just going to blossom. I don't know. I
hope,
see a
you know.
blossoming, Cathy.
Cathy's blossoming.
Happening for you.
No,
in
I
your
think it's
future.
good actually for
I'm no
everyone
medium,
to have
but
these conversations. I mean, you've just started this journey,
just
which
started, yeah.
is incredibly challenging.
And brave.
6 months in, I was like, whoa, what the hell happened? So I think about you. I'm like, what are you thinking? What are
Yeah, because we don't talk about
And-
it. We're like, hey,
No, we
I'll
don't.
be there for
Exactly.
pickup. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. We're dealing with all the other kids and whatnot. But, and am I crazy? Did I I was like, I knew 6 months in, this was a disaster. But was I wrong? You know what I mean? Do other people feel the same way and whatnot? And that maybe there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe it's not a complete disaster. Maybe
It's
hopefully
definitely not a
somebody
complete
can
disaster.
feel
Yeah.
or get something.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to be like, oh, don't ever have your in-laws or your parents live with you. Because I don't actually believe that should be the way to go. I
Yeah.
really don't.
Mhm.
I actually feel like there's lots of people who can make it work.
Sure.
And we are making it work
Yeah,
on
you
some
are.
level.
Mhm.
It could be definitely better, but
It's
getting
a
there's a
noble
process.
journey. It's
Yeah.
a noble journey. It's one worth having, I think. If you can,
I definitely think it is worth having.
yeah, it
Yes.
is one worth having.
For sure.
And if,
Yeah.
the thing about my podcast, I want to learn every time I talk to somebody. And I've learned stuff. So I think if I'm learning something today, then whoever's listening is learning too, especially if someone is in this situation.
Mhm.
I'm not in this situation, so I have less to learn perhaps right now. But if someone else is listening and they are just taking in their mom or their in-law or their dad, then perhaps we can help them figure things out faster. Because it sounds to me like in our talking, Cathy, that conversations it had earlier might have been helpful.
Yeah.
So
I think
if
so.
that can happen for someone else, then that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I did start my podcast kind of thinking this, but I really wanted to learn. And I don't want people to feel alone. One of the most amazing things happened. My mother has a personality disorder, and I found this one book that described her disorder so perfectly that I thought, oh my God, there's other people
Mhm.
who had a parent like my parent.
Right.
That I'm not alone. Like I'm not the only person on this planet that had this kookaroo mother.
That's so much of
Right.
it, isn't it? To know
It's so
that
much.
we don't realize it, that if we knew more people who are in the same situation, that actually helps to feel better
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're going through it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the beauty of a podcast is, you can listen to it over and over again.
This is a gift.
You can go back 6 months after you have your mom in your house and go, wait a minute. What was that one thing she said about that one piece? And you can continue to learn
Mm-hmm.
because it's always there. So I hope
Mhm.
some people listening can get some good out of it.
Yeah,
I
I think
hope
they
so.
will.
Yeah.
I hope so. I did.
Oh, that's
Learned a
great.
lot.
That's great. And I feel like I did listening to the both of you. I don't know. This is pretty fucking magical here, I think.
Welcome to
I'm
Life
gonna
of the
wait,
Party.
finish this day, and I fly away from here.
Well, thank you
and
both.
take my donut with me.
Yeah,
Thank
do
you,
it.
Bert.
Do it. Thank you so much,
Excellent.
both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.